Tottenham, actually. Did you see that the manager Spurs are linked to now? They're saying that there's the lad Arne Slot and Luis Enrique, yeah, are the front runners. Again, I can't understand why you would go for Slot over Enrique. But
listen, I can't see Enrique taking that job. There's big problems there. Unless he's going to go in and they're going to get rid of Harry Kane, they're going to get rid of Son, and they're going to clear the decks out and have a total new rebuild. That's the only way I can see anyone big wanting the Tottenham job. I don't see them attracting anyone big anymore. I mentioned it on the Big Six last night, Graham Potter. I said to Toby, would you take him? He went, no. And I'm thinking, well, who do you think you think you're getting? Because Mourinho couldn't fix it. Conte definitely couldn't fix it.
Yeah.
Poch's going to Chelsea, and he was a Tottenham man, so that's got to hurt. And then Enrique, why would he do that? His stock's quite high at the minute in world football, and he's waiting around for the right job, and the Tottenham one is definitely not the right job. So I think there's problems at Tottenham. I think they're getting left behind. I think City, United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Newcastle are all ahead of Tottenham and going in the right direction. I think Tottenham are just levelling off. I just don't see where they're going, what they're trying to achieve, any system they're trying to play, any identity. I just don't see that with Tottenham. I think it's a mess there. And I think the chairman's got a lot to blame. He's had his chance. He's spent his money. He's held on to the diamonds for too long. And it's hampered them as a club. And I think if Pep went in Tottenham, he'd fucking struggle, to be honest.
Well, he would, because this is not a dig, but it's the truth. Pep needs, like all top managers, you need what you need over a period of time. If you're not given it, then your team goes backwards. And that's for most managers most of the time. We've never actually seen Pep in that circumstance. Maybe he'll manage it well. But yes, listen, Luis Enrique, I said it on my video earlier on today, if they bring him in, on paper, it's a better appointment than Poch to Chelsea, because Luis Enrique is a better manager. He's got a better CV than Erik ten Hag. You only really look at, there's an argument, that he's got a better CV than Jurgen Klopp. I swear he won the treble, right? Unless I've got the wrong guy. I swear he won a treble at Barcelona. If I've got that wrong, viewers, shoot me down. For some reason, my internet's not working properly, so I can't search anything as I was thinking about that. He's a top manager. You'd look at him, and on paper, he would be. I'm just checking out if he won that treble. I'm pretty damn sure that he did as a manager. Yeah, he did. He won in the 2015 season. He's achieved a lot, and he went straight on to managing the national team. That's a very different kind of job. But he's a better manager than probably everybody but Pep in the Premier League. Liverpool fans will say Klopp's better. I get why they would, but CV wise, they're pretty close. But I just don't. I agree with you. I just don't think. I just absolutely do not think they're going to give him what he wants, and it will follow the same. And you actually think about it. Say they get Luis Enrique. That means Spurs' last three managers are Jose, Conte, Enrique.
Exactly.
That's three managers.
And how many trophies have they won?
More than their whole club's history. How many
trophies have them great managers won at Tottenham?
Nothing.
Not near it. Mourinho had the best chance coming up against City in COVID, and he sacked him before the final because he didn't want to pay him that bonus.
It's, for me, I look at it this way, unless there's, and this is what I would say to Spurs fans, they'll think I'm being bitter. I'm not, I'm being real. If you bring in Luis Enrique, but you don't believe the club is going to change its approach, it's going to end the same way all the others did, in tears. But you'll be more embarrassed, or you'll get more stick from rivals because you've actually got a great manager. If, for instance, you bring in Arne Slot, I don't know much about this guy, I'm not going to disrespect him. If you were to bring in, Brendan Rodgers, there wouldn't be as bigger expectations on you. So when you ultimately fail, because you always fail, it'll just be, now we kind of expected you to fail. But when you bring in a world-class manager like Luis Enrique, Antonio Conte, Jose Mourinho, you are looked over with a lot more detail than if you have a Brendan Rodgers. So they've got to be careful what they wish for. I've seen Spurs fans this week, Steve, say no and brush away Thomas Frank like he's nothing. For me, it's crazy. That's the level they need. They go for someone bigger than that. They're going to be consumed by it. Their club will be consumed by Luis Enrique for me.
Yeah, well, I don't. That's not going to happen. I'll be shocked to high heavens if Enrique takes that job. I think He don't need to take it. I think Tottenham are in no man's land. I really do. I just fear for Tottenham this season. I think Newcastle are well and truly establishing themselves now. Champions League, 1 win away. Newcastle are going to get up there. They got to a final this year. So Tottenham have been left behind, and they shouldn't be, because it was all about the new stadium, and they brought in Mourinho, and you thought, he's a winner. He's going to get the tune out of him. Didn't work out. And then they brought in Conte, another winner. Toby was singing Antonio and all that, and they were laughing at Arsenal. They were laughing at Arteta for winning an FA Cup, because they said, you can keep your FA Cup. We've got Conte. And then now Arsenal are light years ahead of him. But that's how it flipped in 12 months, because Arsenal had a plan. They believed in the manager and what he was doing, and they stuck with it. Even great pressure from the fans to get rid of him last season. They didn't. Even though Tottenham pipped him to Champions League, they didn't get rid of him. But look who's in a better position now, Terry. Look which club's on the up, which club's fans are buzzing, and yeah, they've missed out on a title. But look at Tottenham. You wouldn't swap that club for anyone's at the minute. It's no man's land there. Graveyard.
Mate, I hear you completely. And I think one of the things, I think you mentioned it earlier, getting rid of Harry Kane. Now, this isn't a ploy because I want him. It's honest to God opinion, they've got to get rid of Harry Kane. They have to move him on. I just think it's not even a dig at Harry Kane. It's like, it's fine. None of us need to do anything because Harry Kane will save us. They almost need to remove, he's like the comfort blanket to a lot of his teammates in games. And they have to remove that, more of the responsibility spread out amongst people. But yeah, look, I agree with Newcastle on the rise. Even though there's 5 Champions League spots coming up soon, with Newcastle on the rise, Man United, we are going to get some form of new owners. And Sir Jim won't make us as good as the Qataris will make us. But we will improve from where we are now, in my personal opinion. Chelsea, it's going to be an interesting year, but they could bounce back. Arsenal are going to keep growing. Liverpool will be back to their best next year, in my opinion. And City ain't going anywhere. So I kind of look at this situation and think to myself, Spurs are in a big, big mess. They're in big, big trouble. They sacked their manager how many weeks ago? And they're almost no closer to kind of progressing. I know they've had issues with Peditici and the charges and everything else, but yeah, they're a joke right now. And I don't even mean it as a dig. They're a joke to their fans. They are disrespecting their fans, and they should be as angry as anybody. You know, yes, rivals are going to banter them, but they should be absolutely fuming with the sort of direction that they've gone in. Changing the subject. Actually, no, I've got some super chats here. First one says here, do you think fans would say clubs need to be called need so-called world-class signings to progress is a myth? So-called world-class signings like Falcao, Pogba, Torres, Lukaku, Robinho never progress the teams. Scouting players that fits is key.
That's right. Look, I watched a program the other day, and they were talking about Pep's signings at City. They said, when did he ever go to a massive club and take one of the big players off him? It never happened. You know what I mean? Nathan Ake came from Bournemouth, Akanji from Dortmund, Diaz from Benfica, Leroy Sané from Schalke, Bernardo from Monaco. Do you know what I mean? So look at that. You know, so City didn't go and bully everybody and take all of the diamonds. He took players who were promising, and he made every single one of them better.
Mate, this is true. I think, again, when people say go and get world-class players, I look at Victor Osimhen right now. I don't think he's world-class yet, but he's kind of on the way. KDB was tearing up the Bundesliga when you guys bought him. So you can buy players that there's a big buzz around, that there's a lot of excitement about, there's hype around, but you're right.
We got ridiculed for paying that money for KDB.
Oh, you did? I remember.
Thompson, all that, called it insane money, what Man City are doing and all that. And that's the media narrative of it, though. So because Phil Thompson, Liverpool, bias of fuck, says KDB's a flop, everybody goes along with it. Oh, yeah, Man City ruining football. Look at Kevin De Bruyne, what he's done since he come to Man City. He's outstanding.
Well, he's the irony of a Liverpool pundit doing that. He's surpassed their greatest midfielder in Steven Gerrard now, and he's scoring and assisting at a higher rate, winning more trophies, which is the ultimate barometer for success. And he's been a linchpin. So I do think, look, you can target world-class players. You can target great up-and-coming players, Anthony, responding to your comment. But it's all about two things: the culture at your club being right, so when they walk through the door, they know it means business. And secondly, the right scouting to make sure that person does fit the culture, and secondly, has the attributes you need to go to another level. Just because you're scoring and performing in a particular team in another league, it doesn't necessarily mean you'll replicate that when you move clubs. So I think it's a combination of everything. that you kind of need. Equally, if City had the chance tomorrow to sign Mbappe on the right-hand side, they'd probably look at trying to do it as an example, But yeah, I get where you're coming from completely. This here says, Pep is my idol. Underdog King Ake, 40 million. Ake, 15 million. Laporte, Diaz, Stones, 175 million. Klopp of full using whole left back, Charlton centre back in Gomez, and free agent Matip and Trent. I wouldn't agree with the second half of that. I mean, the fact that he got, again, Klopp got kind of echoes that Klopp got a world-class left back from Hull for 8 million quid. That is pretty damn good, in my personal opinion.
What about Virgil van Dijk for 75, 80 million, whatever it was, and Alisson for 80 odd million, and them kind of players?
Exactly. I look at it this way. I feel like,
and they still couldn't win a league.
Well, they won one. They won one. They won one of them. They won one of them.
We're about to win 5, so I'd rather go with Pep and Akanji than Big Virgin. He's won.